What's up, Guan, good people? How you feeling out there today, guys? Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown, the safe space where we set oppression ablaze, and we know that something better is going to arise from the ashes. Something better for the kids, something better for the grandkids, something better for the babies, and something better for us old folks out here, because we need a change, a restructure in the way that this whole system in society is set up, and it would be awesome if we could see some of the fruits and benefits of that while we are still here walking the planet. So shout out to you. If you 40 and over and you 50 and over, this is the program for your old ass right here, guys. Listen, we so appreciate you joining us today. Let me thank you guys again for an amazing 2-week summer fundraiser that ended last Friday. You guys helped us get so really closer to our goal than we expected. So I cannot thank you all enough for your support. We still had some donations trickling in over the weekend. Shout out to Nicole H., who hit us with a smooth Cash App joint for $43 to mark my 43rd birthday. So thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you for everybody who stepped up and who showed up, man, because you know what? We appreciate the donations. We appreciate the material support to be able to remain on the air. But none of this would even be anything if y'all didn't show up and hang out with us in the chat and give us your comments, give us your takes, ask your questions, all those good things. So thank you all for showing up. Courtney, the SLP, has showed up. Anna Hart showed up. Chuck Beazle, always show up. Toby Swollen, show up. I love you. Hey, Elena. Hello, honey. Elena is in the building, everybody. This is great. Hello, Alicia. Hi, sweetie. I'm so happy to see everybody. What's up, Sugar Booger? I don't be shouting you enough out, Sugar Booger, because you show up too. So everyone who shows up, I appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up if you could. Like us a little bit, and hit subscribe if you have not done so already. So guys, on today's Tuesday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown, really going to talk about a couple of things. So August 9th, God damn, was it just yesterday? That's crazy. It has been 7 years since the murder of Mike Brown in Ferguson, Ferguson, Missouri. I was about to say Illinois, but Ferguson, Missouri, right there in St. Louis County. 7 years ago, Mike Brown was murdered by Officer Darren Wilson. Now, did justice ever come to Mike Brown and his family, Mike Brown Sr., his father, Leslie McSpadden, his mother? I'm not sure that we can say that. But a lot has changed. Policies have changed. The politicians have changed. The system, largely the same. But there have been some victories that came out of that Ferguson movement. And I wanted to get into some of those and talk about also some of the drawbacks, some of the things that are still happening that are negatively impacting us, impacting Ferguson and other communities like Ferguson across the country. So we're going to take a look back at what celebrations were marked and remembrances were had over the weekend and over this past week in Ferguson. Chuck Modiano was on the ground there. Representative Cori Bush came home and showed up and did stuff in and around the anniversary of Mike Brown's murder. So I want us to take a look back at Ferguson, the Ferguson movement, what has happened, what hasn't happened, and those kinds of things. But I want us to bring Pierre de Moi. I want us to start off the program talking about COVID. Now, I know y'all hate me for talking about COVID. Please stop throwing things at the screen. That's enough. That's enough of that. Y'all, COVID is what, kids? Still very much out here jumping on people. And they got the new COVID, the Remix, the Delta variant, which, by the way, has some more remixes coming behind it. The Delta Plus variant, the Lambda, the AKA, the Delta Sigma Theta, like they just running them out here. All these remixes of COVID-19 that are still out here jumping on people. So much so that hospitals, medical professionals are overwhelmed, overworked, overburdened. Some nurses and doctors are straight up quitting as a result of this latest fourth wave of COVID-19 fueled by the Delta variant. It's bad out here, y'all. And I know all of my good friends who are joining us in the chat are either vaccinated fully, not that half-ass shit, not that I only got one shot shit. No, we're not playing that out here, ladies, gentlemen, and days. So I know all my people in her are either fully vaccinated, or if y'all are not fully vaccinated, you out here wearing your masks inside, following all the COVID protocols, making sure your hands are clean, masking your children, because we are never going to get out of this pandemic until we get out of this pandemic. And the pandemic is not done with us. This is very clear, right? So in order to increase the number of fully vaccinated people out here, states and cities and municipalities across this country are now laying the smack of down. They are telling motherfuckers, you have to be mandated, bitch. If you gonna work here, you better go holler at that Pfizer, that Moderna, that J&J. You got to come in here with something. And if you don't come in here vaccinated with something, you have to submit yourself to frequent COVID testing. Fine, right? Now, who do y'all think, if you have seen the headline in today's show title, guys, who do you think is putting up the biggest amount of resistance when it comes to state workers and mandatory vaccine guidelines, mandatory vaccines? It is the police, the so-called upholders of public safety. They themselves would prefer to be COVID super spreaders and go around their respective towns, just spreading COVID everywhere. Yes. And it is, thank you. Yes. Alicia, lots of correct answers. DeSantis, hey, KFZ 24/7, DeSantis is an acceptable answer because that nigga's crazy. And if you're in Florida, oh my gosh, prayers up for all of our Floridians out here, because Ron DeSantis is absolutely trying to kill Floridians, and it is a scary situation to behold. But let's get back to the funky ass police while we at it. So guys, in addition to police I'm telling you, this is around the country. Like, I was a little bit dismayed, but at the same time, not surprised at all when I saw all the different regions that police are resisting getting these COVID vaccinations. Today, if you could for me, pop up A1. So from the SFist, the San Franciscoist, local publication there, San Francisco Sheriff's Union vows to quit en masse over vaccine requirement in a rambling Facebook post. Now, I was able to find said Facebook post, and my goofy ass did not send it today, but I'm going to read it for y'all very quickly because it was a bit rambling. The San Francisco Deputy Sheriff's Association, I guess is their version of the FOP, the FSDSA, according to them, I'm reading this, has always promoted COVID-19 safety and has given out masks as well as face shield to first responders and the public during the peak of the pandemic. We believe data and science speaks for itself and that masking works. The problem is that we are faced now with the strict San Francisco mandate, which is vaccinate or be terminated. If deputy sheriffs are forced to vaccinate, a percentage of them will retire early or seek employment elsewhere. Where are you going, nigga? They just said everybody. Well, that's San Francisco. I'm imagining California, the state, is going to follow suit with a vaccine mandate, perhaps for all state workers, but maybe not. State of Maryland is not doing that either. Hang like some ho-hos out here. The majority of deputy sheriffs are vaccinated. Approximately 160 out of 700 deputy sheriffs have not yet been vaccinated, and they prefer to mask and test weekly instead of being vaccinated due to religious and other beliefs. I'm curious, guys. I keep hearing that. Let me go back to the chat because y'all be smart sometimes. Y'all be smart a lot of times, actually. When they talk about religious exemptions, what religion are they referring to? I'm not familiar with such a religion that says you can't get vaccinated. Now I know it's some, the people that refuse to take their children to the hospital and then all of a sudden they get charged with involuntary manslaughter because their child had a very treatable disease, but because of religious exemptions, they decided not to take the kid. I'm just like, what? Why? And what health exemptions are there for people who can't get COVID? I'm just very curious. Of known to use stem cells. Okay, Black Magic. Okay. Jehovah's Witnesses. So no Jehovah's Witnesses be vaccinated against nothing? Wow. Anyway, okay, well, there's that. Religion of right-wing stupidity. Accurate. That's our final answer. No more answer submissions. That's the answer. So, you just heard from the San Francisco Deputy Sheriff's Association that some of their members could elect to quit or retire if they are forced to get vaccinated. But I want you guys to take a listen, just to give you an example, another example of the levels of ridiculosity, because they are quite ridiculous. Tunde, pop up that, hold on, let me tell you which one it is. Just to give y'all another example, A2 for me, please. This is from the Chicago Sun-Times, okay? The Illinois Fraternal Order of Police opposes Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker's vaccine mandate impacting some of the police union members. And this is what the FOP in Illinois had to say. And they, again, ridiculous is just the tip of the iceberg. So the Illinois Fraternal Order Police State Lodge is opposed to Governor J.B. Pritzker's vaccine requirement for its members, calling the mandate, quote, vaccine shaming of public employees. Scott Ward, who is the president of the FOP Corrections Lodge 263, which includes employees in the state departments of corrections and juvenile justice facilities, just to give y'all an idea of how many different agencies and facilities that the Illinois FOP work at. They work in the corrections, juvenile justice, and regular old polices. They gave a statement, the president gave a statement that his organization isn't opposed to the vaccine, but, quote, we are opposed to being forced to take it. Quote, it's always dangerous when the state unilaterally decides to deny the constitutional rights of targeted groups of citizens, such as our members who work in prisons and juvenile facilities. Even the detainees we supervise are not being forced to take the vaccines. Now, I'm gonna keep it a buck with y'all. That sounds like some bullshit, right? I don't know if they are mandating for people who are incarcerated to get the vaccine. It would seem logic. It would follow logic that would be the case. I do not know for certain that is the case, but I find it hilarious that the president of the Illinois FOP has the audacity to fix his little Twitter fingers to say that police and correctional officers are targeted groups for who are being forced to take vaccinations, right? Here's the thing, and the police are, again, laying this very bare. The police are not here for your public safety. The police are here to collect that overtime and to collect them big fat pensions and to take all the additional sensitivity training and don't kill niggas training and all that extra shit in order to drive up their base annual salaries to north of six figures in a lot of places, especially in places like Illinois, big cities like Chicago. You best believe CPD is making that skrilla. But they could care less about being super spreaders themselves. They could care less about their engagement with the community. If you follow People's City Council based in Los Angeles, you know, Ricky Sergenkos, a friend of the show, Richie tweets constantly from the People's City Council about being out in public spaces and consistently seeing California law enforcement not masks, either if it's the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department or LAPD or the CHP. He said them bammers never wear masks out and about. And to give you yet another example of the ridiculosity of the police union's argument for not wanting to be vaccinated, I want us to take a look at this package from CBS 4 out in Denver, okay? The police union out there denounced its own survey of unvaccinated officers despite conflicting texts by the president of the police union out there in Denver. So I want us to take a listen to this package, CBS 4 Denver, just to give you an idea of, one, how incompetent the police are, and two, how much out of touch they are. And let me ask you guys a question before we go to this package. If the police cry and bitch and moan and throw hissy fits, temper tantrums, behave like petulant children, the way that they normally do you think the police are actually going to be able to get an exemption from these vaccine mandates? I think they might be. But take a look at this package, y'all, out of Denver. The police union can't even do math good. Let's take a look today.
Police union is blasting a survey showing the majority of officers in the city are not vaccinated, even though the union conducted the survey. Our political specialist Sean Boyd has a follow-up to that story she broke last night. Sean, the union says its own survey isn't accurate.
Jim, that is what it says in a news release it issued last night. But according to text messages that I obtained today, that is not what the union president indicated to the manager of public safety when he sent him the survey results this week.
I was astonished with the numbers.
Public Safety Manager Murphy Robinson says he learned of Denver Police Union's internal survey from Union President Nick Rogers, who texted him the results Monday, just hours before the mayor announced a vaccine mandate for all city employees. According to the text, 57% of officers surveyed said they weren't vaccinated, and 72% said they would not get vaccinated as a condition of employment.
We are required as law enforcement to get vaccinations all the time, regardless of your reason. You have been ordered to get vaccinated. You have been ordered to take care of this.
CBS 4 asked Union President Nick Rogers to comment on the survey results, but he refused to do so until after CBS 4 made them public. He then issued a press release calling the story fake news and saying, quote, the survey responses were statistically and mathematically so far away of realistic numbers. He says that's why he didn't release them, except he did to Robinson and the mayor's chief of staff, and both say he didn't raise any concerns about their validity with them. After receiving the survey, Robinson texted the union president, I guess the question is, are they willing to risk discipline for this? The mayor is pretty clear that he won't tolerate people making this political. Rogers texts back, that one I can't answer. We are about to step off a cliff, and I'm afraid it's a big one. I had no idea on the numbers. Robinson says if the union's goal was to get the mayor's office to exempt police from the vaccine mandate, it failed.
This vaccine is not about us as individuals. This is about us as a whole making a difference so that we can make sure our public is safe. My goal is not to have to do one disciplinary measure.
That's the end goal, not to have to do one disciplinary measure. And the way that that's probably going to end up happening is that my guess is that these cops are going to cry and whine and throw themselves on the floor and say, wah, we're not going on patrol. Wah, we're not doing all the shit that we supposed to do, that we took an oath to do. Wah, until the leadership capitulates. And y'all, I know, I don't know who we got out there in Colorado. And I know it's a good many Negroes in Denver, but it's not majority Negro in Denver. And I keep seeing these black people in positions of power out there in Denver. It makes me scratch my head a little bit. I mean, the mayor is black, African American, and that was the public safety manager. He's also an African American. I think some of this is, we ain't got to listen to black people. and I'm not even trying to discard the fact that, probably not an insignificant portion of the police force who is black is probably also opting not to take this vaccine either. But that just goes to show you the ridiculousness of some of the arguments put forth by police unions and fraternal orders of police, because public safety is never the goal here, y'all. We are in the midst of a pandemic, and the fact that there are even any number of officers who are refusing to vaccinate themselves when dealing with the public. Now, listen, if you got desk duty all day, whatever. But if you have to go outside and be on patrol and interview people and engage with people and show up to car accidents and other types of emergency situations, you cannot just be out here barefaced. Who said it? Was it Pookie Wood? Who said this a long time ago? Going raw, just going raw with your face all in public in the middle of a pandemic. It's absurd. It is absurd. And a lot of these vaccine mandates for state workers are coming up soon. Usually the deadlines that I've seen range from like September 1st to like October 1st. So I said all that to say, guys, if the vaccination is the deal breaker for a lot of these police, we should shut off some fireworks. I mean, this could be easier said than done, actually, to eliminate even a percentage of police through termination, which would be awesome if they got fired for refusing to vaccinate, or if they quit or retired on their own. Now, I think the backlash to that would be state governments and municipalities will respond by giving the police more money, of course, because, of course, they have to replace all the shortages in personnel. So, if we lost a bunch of cops because they refused to get vaccinated, well, here's another, $25 million more for additional police hiring. That is the downside to that. But please make no mistake that cops are out here spreading COVID. They are. I mean, there's no other way to honestly look at the situation. With the transmissibility of the Delta variant being what it is silly to think that police would not be out here spreading the virus. So they definitely are. So if there are police in your area who are refusing to get vaccinated and have drawn a line in the sand, and they just ask those fraternal order of police lodges, like, do y'all promise to quit? Like, okay, y'all don't want to get vaccinated. Cool. It's a mandate, but okay. But do y'all promise to quit? Do y'all mean it? Do you pinky swear? Do you pinky promise that you are going to leave this force if we are requiring you to get vaccinated? And my concern is, guys, like, this is going to be where police powers really get flexed. If our leadership allows exemptions for police, or if all of a sudden all these police who said that they're not getting vaccinated become Jehovah's Witnesses and claim a religious exemption, is that going to be allowed to stand? And I think it is, because police operate outside of the bounds of law, outside of the bounds of rules. We know that. And politicians, be them Democrat, Republican, love to keep the police contingent happy and satisfied. They don't want the cops pissed at them. So if the police say that we're not going to work, we are going to quit, then is that going to be allowed to be the thing? Are they going to be allowed to just quit? I mean, when I say allowed, I mean not like a negotiation, or we're going to give you guys an extension in order to get more of your members. No, nigga, the Delta variant is out here to fucking day right now. Like, this is not a negotiating process. This pandemic is still very much ongoing. And the police are a danger to public safety if they are out here unmasked and unvaccinated. I think that the cops are going to have an opportunity to do what the fuck they want. And I think they're going to make a lot of these elected officials, we just happen to focus on some Democratic places, San Francisco, Chicago, Denver. They're going to make these Democrat mayors and city councils mean that shit. And they're going to see it's going to come down to a battle of wills, I believe. I don't think these cops are prepared to walk off the job. It's too lucrative to be a police. Too lucrative. I mean, the pensions and the pay and the overtime notwithstanding, just think about how much thieving the patrol cops do from regular people on the streets. Too much money in policing, either regular thieving or via civil asset forfeiture. They stealing regardless. Too much money to be a police out here for them to want to walk away from it. I don't believe it. I think a lot of these Democratic lawmakers are about to get punked. Straight up. But speaking of lack of police accountability, lack of police safety when it comes to public safety out here in these streets. And by the way, guys, thank you all so much for joining us today on Burn It Down with Kim Brown. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, would you please take a moment and do so, or go on and hit that thumbs up for your homie. Just go on and give me a like real quick and let all them haters know you like it. It's weird, y'all. So certain videos here draw out the trolls. For example, the couple of pieces we did on Sasha Johnson, of course, the organizer and activist from the UK who was shot in the head. Clearly, people were searching Sasha Johnson's name and just shit posting under our video. And the same thing happened with Ryan LaRue. And I know I told our viewers last week on Black Power Media that I was going to do an update on Ryan LaRue. I want to actually have someone from the Montgomery County Justice Coalition on with us to talk about Ryan LaRue's case. So I'm sorry I keep promising and not delivering. I want to have someone on who can give us more details about the ongoing investigation surrounding Ryan LaRue, the 21-year-old Black man who was shot and killed by Montgomery County Police in Gaithersburg, Maryland, maybe a month ago. So, yeah. So I said that to say, guys, the police ain't shit. that is generally the position of this platform, right? With very few exceptions. And we're going to throw Neil Franklin's name out there for law enforcement against prohibition, the elite people. Neil is former police, and Neil, I'm assuming was good police, but Neil be letting the police know that they are on the absolute wrong side of the war on drugs, amongst many things. But no, generally here we have a position that police ain't shit. Tune, if you could please pop up B3 for me, please. And when we talk about public safety, right? COVID pandemic notwithstanding, what police do on a daily basis generally be harmful to communities at large. The Washington Post has done a database, not the first time I think they've done this, and I'm not even sure if they're like the best ones to do it. I think The Guardian did a really good database some years back. It's called The Count, where they were tracking in real time how many people police kill annually, because the numbers provided by the federal government are generally incomplete and inaccurate, since police departments nationwide are not necessarily required to report that information about how many people their officers shoot and kill to the federal government. And not a giant fucking loophole you could drive an 18, wheel it through. So Washington Post, through their data journalism, say on-duty police officers have fatally shot more than 6,400 people since 2015, according to the Post database. That's an average of nearly 1,000 a year, almost 3 a day. This toll even reached a new high of 1,021 fatal shootings in 2020. This is an interesting thing that I think people should take a look at. And again, this is just the latest data. This is not necessarily new data. So we've known for some time that, let's say 10 years or so, that police usually shoot and kill about 1,000 people a year. That's a lot of fucking people. Okay. I don't care how many hundreds of millions of people in the United States there are. For the police to kill 1,000 people is a lot of people. And I know some from the right wing would say that, oh, well, statistically speaking, most of those people are white. Oh, I'm sorry. Is that supposed to change my mind? Is that supposed to, am I supposed to go, oh, you know, you're right. Police is out here killing whites. Not a big deal. No, it is a big fucking deal. And my question is to the conservatives, or to those who are pro-police, or thin blue line, or whatever nonsense you want to say, whatever cop propaganda you want to extol, it should bother you that police kill 1,000 people in this country. White, black, indigenous, Latinx, Asian, police shouldn't be killing unarmed people, period, point blank, even if they are armed. And I don't even want to discuss all the instances of police being shot at by armed whites. And all I can say is, Johnny, put the gun down, Johnny. Jimmy, talk to him, Jimmy. We don't want to hurt you, man. We don't want to hurt you. Just put the gun down. Meanwhile, had that have been Darshan, they would have lit Darshan ass up with innumerable number of bullets. But anyway, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So I mentioned that statistic from the Washington Post to circle back to the 7th anniversary of the murder of Mike Brown in Ferguson. And it's hard to believe that it has actually been 7 years. And you know, when Trayvon Martin got killed in Florida, and people took to the streets and were very much engaged on this issue, more on a mainstream level, like activists and organizers obviously have always been engaged on this issue, but it took on more of a mainstream interest, right? Even passive people who may have not bad feelings towards the police or towards people like George Zimmerman, who did an extrajudicial killing on the neighborhood watch. Oh, well, why didn't the kid just all right. So Trayvon got it started. Trayvon's murder got it started. And then there was just a flurry of Black people being killed. And Mike Brown's murder stood out for a number of reasons. It stood out because, first of all, when he was killed there in Ferguson, the police left his body outside for hours in August. And the signal that sent to that community, to that majority Black community, I mean, it was no different than the victim of a lynching being left to dangle and sway on a tree, hanged and dead. That was the message that was received loud and clear by the residents of Ferguson when the police left his body out there for hours. And then the immense groundswell that took place in the days and weeks after Mike Brown's murder. People were hoping against hope for some sort of justice. And the fact that it took so long to even get, I believe it was a grand jury hearing regarding even thinking about charging Darren Wilson. They didn't even want to charge him, and they didn't. Or rather, Darren Wilson was able to go on, live his life unimpeded, well-funded by the racist resources that were poured upon him because of his skin color, the occupation he held, and what he did and who he killed. They gave it up to him big time for killing that young black boy. I remember Darren Wilson was actually trying to get married around that time. And I think that he raised like something close to the neighborhood of like $1 million, like something ridiculous, like enough money to like set him up for a nice, quiet, white American life. From what? From the blood of Mike Brown. And, you know, the injustices suffered by Mike Brown Jr.'s family, notwithstanding, I mean, the community of Ferguson came to a big reckoning about the way that their community was being treated by police. Ferguson had high instances of, you know, people being basically nickeled and dimed to death with these petty citations that, of course, accumulate fines exponentially if you don't pay them. I mean, the amount of targeted racial shit aimed at black people in Ferguson, not only from the police, but from the Ferguson City Council. Some of those things have kind of improved. I believe they have more black folks on that Ferguson City Council than they ever did. And Ferguson elected its first black mayor. Her name is Ella Jones. I found this clip of her talking to ABC News. This was last year. Today it's going to be B2. And, you know, I'm a little iffy on some of our black elected officials, right? Because some of them mean well. I'm assuming, no, I can't say some of them mean well. I don't know what they mean. Some of them might mean well. Some of them, I believe, mean harm. And when it comes to Ferguson Mayor Ella Jones, I listen to these comments and I'm like, so let me give you the setup. So she's talking of, this was 6 years after Mike Brown's murder, and she was being interviewed about what has changed in Ferguson. And she's asked specifically about the issue of defund the police. Now, guys, what do y'all think Ferguson's first ever black mayor would have to say about the defund the police movement? You think that's a catchy slogan that actually is probably pretty popular in Ferguson? If she wanted to run on defund the police, she probably could, but I don't think that she did. So let me not leave you in suspense. This is what Ferguson Mayor Ella Jones told ABC News last year regarding her position on defund the police.
And you have said that you're not for defunding the police in Ferguson. Why is that?
I'm not for defunding the police in Ferguson because the strides that they have made with the consent decree, what we need additional funding here in Ferguson. Right now, we need a community engagement person. So the police doesn't have to go out on so many domestic calls. I had an opportunity to visit a neighborhood, and I was talking to some of the young people, and here come the police, and the kids said me, oh, the police always go to that house, domestic. So if we had a community engagement person, that person could go to that home and talk with that family, give them some resources where our police be able to do something different. We need a person who can come in and police trainer to make certain that our police understand and get all the necessary up-to-date training on how to be an effective police officer.
All right.
Girl, what is the police budget in Ferguson being spent on currently? if the police in Ferguson need a police trainer to come in, who the fuck is training them right now? Who is training them right now? And several things that Mayor Jones said there that perked my interest in the wrong direction. She talking about they need a public consent. Wait, first of all, she talked about the consent decree. Ask Baltimore City how that consent decree situation is going for Baltimore police, who shot and killed somebody yesterday, if memory serves. The consent decree in Ferguson, Mayor Jones said actually that Ferguson police need more funding because they need a community engagement person to do some of the calls that the police should not be doing. So actually, she's making a very strong case there for defunding the police because the police are not able to attend to the needs of the community. She used specifically an issue of a domestic violence situation, and the police are always going there. So the police obviously aren't resolving the situation, right? It's going to take a non-law enforcement approach to perhaps resolve that specific domestic violence situation. So she just made a case as to why the police should not get more money, while at the same time being a democratically elected official, being a Democrat, she's making the case why the police are not able to do the job fully, but still asking for more money for the police. I hate Democrats with the fire of 1,000 suns. Like, I want to throw Democrats off of the Grand Canyon, all of them. Just give me a big bulldozer and just put all the Democrats right there. Me push all of them bitches right over the edge because I cannot stand them. I can't stand them. The idea of defunding the police, even though the mayor of Ferguson made a case for defunding the police without actually calling for defunding the police, the fact that this is turned into a political negative for Black elected officials and for Black communities is preposterous. And I'm so glad that Cori Bush knew she had to keep her street cred legit. Cori Bush was back out in Ferguson for this anniversary of Mike Brown's murder. So there's lots of pictures around there. I didn't see much video, but I saw plenty of pictures of Cori out there. And actually, the gentleman who his name is Tory. He runs, I think it's the organization out there in Ferguson. I'm drawing a blank right now. I'm about to look it up, but I'm about to tell Tunde which video clip to play because Chuck Modiano, you guys. Y'all know Chuck, friend of the show. Chuck got, cut his chops out in Ferguson. Chuck is good in the hood out in Ferguson. He's probably better than some of these, celebra Black activists out there. Chuck is good out there in Ferguson, and Chuck was in Ferguson. And yes, Vanguard TNT. His name is Tory. Is it Tory Burch? Am I thinking of the purse people? I'm so sorry, Tory. I think his name is Tory Russell. Tory Russell spoke with Chuck Modiano out there on Canfield in Ferguson, marking the memorial and the memory of Mike Brown Jr., who was killed 7 years ago. Tune in, let's take a look at that, please.
Why can't Mike Brown have a community center? Why can't we have stipends? Why can't we fund the books and breakfast in all our programs across the country? Why can't we be unified? Why can't we advocate for the political prisoners? Why can't we do like the Black Panthers or MOVE and others? And why 7 years later, a lot of people ain't never showed up to the place that you say is a catalyst for a movement?
Is it 100 people here? It's hard to say.
Maybe.
About 100 people here, if 100. And so what are your thoughts about those who did show up?
I appreciate people for coming out. I appreciate first and foremost Cori Bush, but not forgetting where she came from. Cori showed up humble. She ain't want no VIP or nothing. She snuck, that's who Cori is. She the same frontline activist. She just so happened to be in Congress. Another person, Uncle Bobby, came from Oakland. This probably his 7th in a row time coming. Some people make it away.
Uncle Bobby v. Uncle Oscar Grant.
Oscar Grant. Ferguson ain't dead. You can't kill us. We always gonna rise. And so we found a way with no media attention to make media attention. We found a way to create a movement out of no movement. Come on.
Just want to give you some love, man. Give you some love. Appreciate you, man.
I'm going to see you soon.
Yeah, you'll see us
If I
soon.
hook a crook, I'm coming out the way.
Let us know.
Yeah.
All right.
I give you all.
And let us know when you come.
I'll let you know.
You've been everywhere but the Bay.
The Bay is next.
Okay.
Your couch comfortable? You got to look. Okay.
Oakland.
Yeah, that's part of activism.
Yeah.
You see, as California goes, the world goes.
Yeah.
But shoot, Ferguson did something that really have us having to pay attention to what happened here so we can build upon what we learned here.
Okay.
You know, and it's incorporated in the Oakland activism.
Which has a rich history.
That's right.
7 years later, Ferguson not done. You know, I know y'all try to bury us. I know y'all want to forget about us. I know we just a hashtag. I know it's something popular that might trend, might not, some in your dissertation. But we live this every day, and we ain't done. And so we created one movement that went around the world, around police brutality and around the liberation of black people. Ferguson, we strong enough to do it again. So hope y'all ready, because we coming.
Tori Russell there speaking to Justice journalist Chuck Modiano. Tori Russell is a director of Black organizing for the Ferguson-based group, the IBFA. Follow Tori on social media if you guys are able to. And shout out to Uncle Bobby. Uncle Bobby, that is Oscar Grant's uncle. Oscar Grant, you guys know, the young man who was killed New Year's Eve. God, was Oscar killed in 2009? By BART police in San Francisco in the Bay Area. So shout out to Uncle Bobby. Uncle Bobby shows up different places, y'all. It was good to see him out there in Ferguson. And of course, shout out to Chuck as well. Kev Z 24/7, thank you so much for your support, honey. Kev says about Ferguson Mayor Jones, he said that was Clyburn with a wig. We got to make sure our police is a funded. Yes. I mean, yeah, she was definitely coming with that energy, man. And, you know, sort of to piggyback on some of the stuff that Tori Russell was talking about when it comes to Ferguson and the movement there, y'all. And it's something that is routinely overlooked except by revolutionary people who have been paying attention. But the number of Ferguson activists who wound up dead under very fucked up circumstances, I can't even call them bitches suspicious, because when people are shot in the head and found in burnt out cars, that's not suspicion, honey. That's murder. That's murder with intent to destroy all the evidence and to make sure that the cases remain unsolved. I'm thinking about Edward Crawford. I'm thinking about Darren Seals. And there's more, you know, and those are just the two that I could think of off the top of my head. And by the way, I'm very interested in talking to people from Ferguson about what happened to people in Ferguson. And sometimes I've run into some problems booking folks for the simple fact that it takes a lot of trust. Like people in Ferguson, activists in Ferguson, residents of Ferguson, went through so many different traumas. I'm sorry, did I say Corey? Dawn, I meant to say Tori Russell. Yeah, Tori Russell is his name. He's the director of Black Organizing, the IFBA. They're on Twitter. You can follow them. But yeah, it's Tori. The trauma of Mike Brown's murder, the trauma of Mike Brown's body being left out, the trauma of the police cracking down violently on protesters with tanks, with tear gas, the trauma of being chastised nationally by the likes of people like Barack Obama, to name one, and the ongoing trauma, the people that got killed after Mike Brown that didn't make the news, and also the trauma of what many in Ferguson felt as though their whole situation had been exploited by people who came in from outside of Ferguson, who came to capitalize off the national spotlight, the national attention, to make Black Lives Matter work for them personally, for their own personal interests. And y'all, I mean, we can make a list, I mean, of who those people are and who they might be. I think it's more appropriate to let people from Ferguson call those people out specifically. And if you guys remember, some months ago, Mike Brown Sr. and Tori Russell, that same gentleman that we just saw in being interviewed by Chuck, they filed or had intentions to file a lawsuit against the Black Lives Matter Global Network, saying that the Black Lives Matter Global Network et al. And its associates profited tremendously off of the memory of Mike Brown Jr., off of organizing around Mike Brown Jr., and they don't feel as though those resources collected, and that really continues to still be collected off the memories of murdered Black people, are being redistributed to those communities in which these murdered Black people came from. Ferguson being first and foremost about that. Shout out to Samaria Rice, who is Tamir Rice's mom out there in Ohio. She brought this up far more, I'm going to say explicitly and eloquently, because I think you can be explicit and eloquent very much at the same time. So Ferguson was sort of like the catalyst for that. And I want us to take a look today, if we could. This is going to be B4. So surrounding this anniversary, the 7th anniversary of Mike Brown's murder, there was a number of events happening in and around Ferguson over the past few days. And like you said, we saw Chuck out there, Uncle Bobby from the Bay, Tori Russell, and Terrain Walker, who is a journalist, I believe was a host of a discussion featuring some of the fathers of Black people murdered in the St. Louis area, including Kerry Ball. I believe Kerry Ball Sr. was a part of this discussion. But what we're about to hear, today is going to be B4, is going to be from Mike Brown Sr., Mike Brown's father. And he talks a tiny bit about exploitation, something that Ferguson organizers are very familiar with. Again, this is coming from Terrain Walker's tweet, and he was the host of this panel discussion amongst Black men in Ferguson, talking about losing their loved one to police violence, their ability to be able to express that, and the lack of justice. But Mike Brown Sr. is about to talk specifically about the exploitation of his son's memory.
Yeah, we had experienced a lot of people that came into our life for their own personal gain and reason. There's people that made plenty of money off Mike.
Still is. Still is.
Career and everything. But what people don't understand, when you are going through a pain that you can't see nothing else, and all you doing is worried about justice, you don't see everything else, you know. That's the last thing on your mind, is worried about what somebody doing, you know. But when you come to, it's all here to the captain, you know. They want to, you know, come and steal the show by making up different things and saying, oh, this is what Mike Brown Jr. is doing now, like as far as the riding and all that stuff, and making things and actually bringing more money into the community for other people to grab.
Come on, man.
But it almost looked like a whole circle of them working together. You know, I'm going to promote it. Y'all going to get it. We going to split it. Yeah, you never pay attention to stuff like that, you know, when you're going through. But when you get it, get your mind in that second breath, you know, you definitely are upset.
I'm seeing some correct answers in the chat. Ursula Baptiste, give that van a contract. Luke Kang also got the right answer. One of several right answers. I don't think there's really any wrong answers here when touching upon the different people that showed up in Ferguson, not from Ferguson, showed up as personalities, as people who were live tweeting things on the ground, and were tapped for elevation of either their social media profile or their opinions were more sought after. And understandably, people from inside of Ferguson are still mad about this, and I don't blame them. It's like, dog, it's like, hold on. So the nigga who just showed up in the town, not from town, by the way, just showed up in the town, parachuted into town, and decided to do the live tweeting, is the one that gets the speaking engagements, gets the book deals. And I'm saying this is not necessarily a pocket watching situation. Like, I know, okay, we could be real here, y'all. We all talk about D-Ray for right now, right? Like, I'm not watching D-Ray pockets. I don't know how much money D-Ray has pocketed from being a professional. I'm not really sure what D-Ray does. Although I was glad to see that D-Ray got involved with the Keith Davis Jr. case, because no matter what you say about D-Ray, the fact that he has a big, huge platform of 1 million plus is something that garners attention. And y'all have been here on this program. We talked to Kelly Davis. Keith Davis needs attention. Okay. If D-Ray can get Keith Davis the attention, then Keith needs that attention. He needs to get out of jail. His family needs him home. As it pertains specifically to Ferguson and Mike Brown, oh shit. No. The Ferguson people got legitimate beef with D-Ray. They really do. Because at the very bare minimum, and I don't even know that he has not done this. And I'm sorry, I keep wiping my eyes because my eyes are watering a little bit. But what's up with that redistribution plan, Pippin? Like, if you came up because of Ferguson and came up to the tune of hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, like, wouldn't Ferguson be the first place that you want to give back to in whatever way? Like, excuse me, what did I eat? I'm sorry. I'm trying not to keep burping in y'all's face. Something I ate earlier keeps making me belch. But perfect example. Y'all saw how Chuck Modiano was just received there, right? On Canfield in Ferguson by a OG Ferguson nigga and a nigga from the Bay Area who organizing in activist circles greatly respect, Uncle Bobby, right? How do y'all think D-Ray would be received if he showed up out there for the anniversary of Mike Brown's death on Canfield in the middle of the day where everybody could see him? I don't think D-Ray is good in the hood, y'all. At least not in Ferguson. He may be good in the hood in some places, but I don't think Ferguson is one of those places. And again, and not to just harp on or pick on D-Ray, it's not just him. It was a handful of others, bunches of others who came up, who got a name, who got recognition, who got platformed as a result of Ferguson and didn't give back. Please don't be on the internet flossing and you not gonna give back. I hate those people. I hate those people. Like, please don't show us your pictures of you surrounded by A-listers on the red carpet because you got a random invite to the Oscars, but you can't show up in Ferguson, the place where people actually got to know you as a result, at least on a national level. Like, if you can show up on the red carpet, but you can't show up in Ferguson and you got your name off of Ferguson and Mike Brown, dog, there's a big disconnect there. That math is not mathing at all. And that tells me that you need to do better by your people. Not better by the internet, not better by your celebrity, but better by your people. What are y'all talking about? I know that's a topic that is something that people easily can go off on. And thank you, Dawn Gibson, for reminding me. Samaria Rice gave a really stellar interview on Black Power Media. Who was it, Dawn? I remember Kalonji was on the interview. Was it Kalonji and Kamau who interviewed Samaria Rice? And I fucked with Samaria. Like, that made me fuck with Samaria Rice even more because, again, she got to talk in a platform where she got to exactly talk as her regular Cleveland self, right? And let everybody know that she didn't give a fuck about Tamika Mallory. She didn't give a fuck about D-Ray, about none of them niggas. I'm from Cleveland, and they did some fuck shit to my son. And I appreciate that. I don't want to be able to move in all circles, Afra. I don't like everybody. I don't want to move in all circles, Afra, because all them circles are not for my people. They are not for my people. And I don't want to be around them people, Afra. I don't like them. Kalonji was definitely there. Yes, it is an excellent interview with Samaria Rice. You guys need to go and check it out. But here's my thing, and I'm gonna leave us on this note. First of all, Mike Brown was an 18-year-old young man. Mike Brown was unarmed. Mike Brown did nothing to lose his life that day at the hands and at the gun of Darren Wilson in Ferguson. Now, I lived actually not too far from Ferguson. I lived right down the boulevard or right up the boulevard, depending on, well, not the boulevard, pardon me. Where am I, Tony H? St. Charles Rock Road. If you go straight down St. Charles Rock Road, you pass through all these small little towns in St. Louis County. I lived up in Maryland Heights, and Ferguson was coming more towards the city. And St. Louis and St. Louis County was easily the most racist place I've ever been, I've ever lived. Racist so much to the point I would never forget how racist it was. And them niggas could never pay me to come back out to St. Louis or even the whole of Missouri for that matter, because Missouri is just too racist, too fucking racist, in spite of the fact that Black people in Missouri are amazing, right? People from St. Louis, amazing. People from Kansas City, amazing. Racist, very much less amazing. The police, absolutely not amazing in Missouri. But we have to hold Mike Brown's memory first and foremost, and then we have to hold very quick succession after that, the memory of the activists, the people who lost their lives as a result of the Ferguson uprising, those people whose murders may never be solved. You know, like tragically, Mike Brown lost his life, but Mike's parents know who took his life. Edward Crawford's people don't know who killed him. Darren Seals' people don't know who killed him. I mean, they suspect it was the police without a doubt, but those murderers are probably not going to be brought to justice. So think about the fights that are still happening right now as a result of Ferguson, and the fights that are happening because of Ferguson in other places, right? So we remember Mike Brown. We remember all the fallen activists who lost their lives as a result of this. And we still pray very much for the people of Ferguson, for all of us, really, because I would imagine that Ferguson is not so dissimilar to PG County, Maryland, or Cuyahoga County, Ohio, or the Bronx, or fucking, what's the place in Florida? Broward County, Miami-Dade, Harris County, Houston, H-Town. Like, Black people are under attack everywhere. And I would very much like to stop fighting, but unfortunately, the fight is not going to stop fighting us, right? The fight's not going to stop fighting me. So we are mandated to keep fighting against police injustice, to keep fighting against racism. And yes, the end result is absolutely abolition of the police. We're going to start with defund the police, but anything less than that is a concession that we should not be willing to make. So fuck all them Democrat soft shoe little blackface Cooney wannabes. No, we want the police defunded and abolished. Period. Point blank. There's nothing else to say after that, guys. I'm gonna say goodnight. It's starting to storm out here, like my granny say. It's starting to storm. Kim, it's starting to storm. Get off that telephone. Get off the phone. But Granny, the storm is outside. I don't care. Okay, y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. I will see y'all back here on Friday. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow morning. Black Power Media, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Please join me. Kalanji Chonga, Kamau Franklin, Dr. Jared Ball, Dr. Ichele for the medicine bag, yo. And set your notification to join us tomorrow morning for the best morning show right here on YouTube. It is the Remix Morning Show on Black Power Media. So I'll see y'all tomorrow morning, and I will see y'all back here on Friday. Thank you all so much for your love and support and for your chat. Y'all fucking rock. See y'all later. Bye.